day one of the Grand Brony Gala 3. Are you guys ready for Daniel Ingram? Let's bring him out. Ladies and gentlemen, bronies of all ages, please welcome the maestro of friendship himself, Mr. Daniel Ingram. Comfortable? Please mute all guitars. Although it is appreciated. Welcome to Florida.
Thank you very much. Wait, is this on? Can you hear me? Yes. Test. Okay.
Is it on standby?
It says on.
It's on.
I just have to talk loud.
You have to talk loud.
Is it hot enough down here for you?
Mic check, 1, 2.
Oh yeah, it's on. Yeah, that was good.
That one's louder.
That one's louder, that's all.
Okay. All right, well, welcome to Florida. And let's go ahead and get things started here just a little bit. Now, I'm a big fan of the Rainbow Rock soundtrack, and I noticed there were some heavy metal influences. Did you kind of have to tiptoe around that with the reputation that metal has?
I think that just came in maybe a little bit for two reasons, because by osmosis, I used to listen to like early Metallica when I was in Saw them live twice in Vancouver, it was amazing. But yeah, like that sort of like Fade to Black, Ride the Lightning sort of era. And so maybe some of that influence probably came in. I mean, just by the virtue of there being two very distinctly different groups in Rainbow Rocks, like the Dazzlings were kind of a little more in the, it was supposed to be evil, and then there's of course the pony sound. So the Equestrian Girls, and so they, I wanted to create some kind of discrepancy between the two, and so I think part of that was like, okay, well, let's make maybe some of those influences came in, but I wasn't actually thinking, oh, people are going to associate this with like some kind of history of metal bands doing things they shouldn't or something like that. I think that I wasn't too concerned about that.
Now, what was it like directing John Delancey? Because he's not, from what I understand, a singer.
Is he in the room? Because I know he's here somewhere. No, John was actually really, really great, and he was such. That song was a really hard song, and I sang the original demo on that song.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I remember we sent it to John. He was like, "Okay, look," and he told me we met for the first time in LA at the con. Actually, no, that's not true. We met for the first con in Las Vegas at the convention there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and people remember how that went. That con kind of. And he said to me, he goes, "Well, if you ever do a song I really can't sing," no, that guy. And I'm like, "I'm sure you can sing." And then like another time we spoke, and he's like, "No, just so you know, I really can't sing." I'm like, "Come on, everybody can sing." And then of course that song is like really complicated and really fast, and it was a bit long, so we kept having to speed it up, like to make it shorter. But he was great. Unfortunately, we didn't do that in person, so that song was recorded over the phone. So he was I think at the studio in LA, and I was in Vancouver, and we did what's called like an ISDN recording, and I just had to coach him over the phone, and that was always a bit tricky. But he did, and they put him at the very end of like a 4-hour voice record day, so he was exhausted, and then he had to sing "Glass of Water," and he really meant it. He was like, "No, I really need a glass of water, please."
Yeah, does it ever get tricky when you have to do that, when you have to direct people over the phone? Because it's got to be a lot easier when you're face-to-face with somebody.
Oh yeah, it makes a huge difference for me. Like, the advantage of being in Vancouver where 90% of the voice actors are recorded means like we bring them in. In fact, the studio where we record them is on the same floor as my music studio, and it's just like literally like a 2-minute walk down the hall, and it's right there. Not even like a 10-second walk down the hall. And so I can get in the room, and it is true. It's much better. I have a little piano there. I can like, see them as they're recording. I can see where they're positioned on the microphone. I could get a sense of if they're getting frustrated or not. I can get that sense. I can see if they're just happy. I can push them a little further if necessary. I mean, it makes a world of difference being in the room with the actor. I would much prefer that to doing it over the phone, where I really have, like, you're so disconnected, and you can't even really hear it very well over an ISDN line, just how it's sounding.
That's unless you forbid if you lose the connection.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's part of why I got the job originally, is they were like, well, we need someone in Vancouver who can work with the actors, so that helped.
And now it's your turn. If you have a question, please line up here, right down the middle. All right, what is your name?
John Morey.
All right, we got a question from John Morey.
Hey, John.
What's your favorite song?
My favorite song in life or in the show?
In general, either.
Oh boy. Well, in the show, I mean, the interesting thing about writing songs in the show is that I'm always like a year and a half ahead of what you guys have heard, you know, because like I'm already halfway through season 6 now. It's gonna be awesome. I'm super excited. Season 6, that's the song season, let me tell you. So yeah, one of my favorite songs of the season is about to air, coming up in the next few episodes. So keep your eye out for a song sung by a character who has never sung a song before. Their own.
Can you give us the first edition?
No. But I can say that, that character has never had their own song, and when they do, that's actually my favorite song of the season anyway.
What kind of song is it?
It's a sad ballad. That could be it.
All right. What you have to ask him?
Is it hot enough down here for you?
I haven't even experienced the heat, because I flew in last night at like 11 at night, and then we went straight from the airport to the hotel. Got a little bit of it outside in the airport, and now I haven't even been outside yet today, so. I'm really curious. I am really curious. All right. I've been spending a lot of time in Hawaii now, so because I got my girlfriend over there, and so I'm getting used to sort of southern heat a little bit now. No, I'm good, thank you. I just had breakfast.
All right, what's your name?
Jonathan.
Jonathan?
Hey, Jonathan.
Ask the maestro.
You got any more raps coming? Because like, if you need someone to record, no.
Let's hear it. Can you hear something? Can you do a rap right now?
Yeah! Yeah, I can do it.
Give him a beat.
Anything
Give
goes.
him a beat.
Anyone heard Tony Swag before?
Go for it, man.
This is from a Brony's, ain't no phony. You can ferret it out, no phony. OD rich, phonies. It's all love, cheap ponies, I'm cheap. Only the homies, killing me for cold. How much shit real talk about the trying to bring boom, give me the folks, spinning it up, they sitting on the ground, I feel at the top. Like that, sitting on the loud. I'm a soul of the you fresh ribs, boy,
speeding up.
Yeah.
And it was
We don't have a metronome in here.
No, and it was the equestrian girl speed too, which I was like.
All right, Cody, go ahead and ask.
So I was a big fan of Rainbow Rock's gospel music most part. But I happened to notice on that one song, "Welcome to the Show," it was in a regular time signature. That I really like that. I love when you guys make songs in unconventional methods. So I had to ask, is that the first time you've ever written a song in a regular time signature before for a show?
For a cartoon, yeah, I mean, it's pretty rare to do that. I mean, there's occasional 6/4. There's there's waltzes and stuff. But I remember for that, I was like, I really want to throw things off here, and this would be the perfect opportunity because I love kind of polyrhythms. So what's happening in Welcome to the Show is like, it's like the drums are doing like a bar of 8 count and a bar of 7, and then the bass is doing a bar of like 7 and then 8. And so like they're kind of, it's always missing like one beat, right? and it creates that kind of like sense of this thing's, it's cool, but it's like not quite right, something's off here. So there's like a subliminal level to that I was looking for. But yeah, I don't think there's a lot of opportunities in kids shows to write in like 7/8 time for sure. So that was probably one of those, I did it a lot at university, I had never done it at the show though before.
Was that actually your longest song, including the battle scene?
Yeah, well I mean if it was, from a contract perspective, it was actually 3 songs. So it was like 3 songs and score, and that's how it was sort of written in the script. And it was a real big question mark of like, how is this even going to work? They're like, we need to start with this group, and then go to this group, and then back to this, and then do this whole thing, and then finish with this. And so yeah, I mean, it's technically the longest like montage in a way, but I would think of that as 3 different songs in one.
Awesome. All right, thank you, man. All right, what's your name?
Cooper,
Cooper?
also known as Bowling. Thank you guys for teaching. Mr. Ingram, when you made the song This Day Already, how did that process go? Like, how did you make one of the best songs in cartoon history that puts Disney to shame? How did you do that?
Thank you.
Excellent question.
Yeah, let me think back a little bit. This era, that's probably like pushing 4 or 5 years ago now. And I only remember because I remember I was living in like 2 apartments ago. Let me see. I certainly wasn't feeling that pressure at the time. If I knew I was trying to write something to be the best song in cartoon history, I'd probably be under a lot of stress. Yeah, no, that was a really fun song to write because we were just pushing the limits on what the show could do at that point. We'd never done a villain song. And of course, any song that's like, creates that dichotomy of like, okay, we have a good character and a bad character in one song, back and forth. And musically, that's a lot of fun because, you know, it can open, you can create this theme for one and then just kind of flip that theme on its upside down for the other character and just sort of play with that. So anything that has those sort of variations in it, I find really a lot of fun. I guess one other thing that really made a big difference on that song is the performance. I mean, Britt McKillop, so great. And we auditioned like 20 different actors for that. And I remember it was an interesting battle between me and the directors at the time because they were all thinking about who, you know, like who they liked for like just the speaking role. And I was thinking about who I liked for just the singing role. And we were trying to figure out that balance between everything. And I think we got really lucky with Britt, who just absolutely nailed that song and the parts of Cadence.
Yeah, I love that jump she does, where you go from "Oh Shining Armor, I'll Be There Very Soon."
Yeah,
that was a big leap.
Yeah, and she's a country singer, and she didn't know if she could do it. So it's funny, because actually when I auditioned that song, now that I think back, I hadn't written the whole thing. So they were like, we need some part of a song that we can audition these characters for. So I just wrote the first 2 little verses. So like the part that starts with Cadence, and then the part with what's her name? Chrysalis. I did the part with Chrysalis, and then the Cadence part, and that was it. Just because we wanted to hear how an actress could do both roles, and the rest of the song wasn't written. So she sang that front half, which is a much lower tessitura in her voice, and she sounded perfect. And then she came in, and now the back half like soars, like the whole thing is like 2 octaves or something, and goes up high like that. And she was like, "Daniel, I'm a country singer, you know, I can't sing this." And she actually, and I'm like, but then she nailed it. So it's amazing. I guess you never know what you can do.
All right, thank you. All right, what's your name?
Big Man.
So you
Ask your question.
Starting
Okay, next.
starting with Music to My Ears for Rainbow Rocks and moving to a vinyl song and a Octavia song, what was it like to write dubstep?
Well, music to my ears. I mean, all those things come down as like corporate requests, right? So they're like, hey, we want to, you know, we're hearing all these really cool fan remixes. Can we do like an official like dubstep song?
So it was inspired by fans.
Yeah, for sure.
Guys, give yourself a round of applause.
I mean, not a specific fan song in that sense, but the idea that the fandom was really into that genre, yeah. And And so I was like, I have no idea how to do this. So what I did was nowadays you get lucky, they sell like libraries of like dubstep, right? And it's like a keyboard of like, it comes with like 10 different keyboard lengths of dubstep sounds, and so honestly for that song, it was like my one and only attempt at doing that, and it was just sort of like, oh, there's like a, and so like it was just like assembling all that stuff, and I'd send them little clips, and they were just like, yeah, we love it. So that's how that went. That's music to my ears. What was the other one you were asking?
The Vinyl and Octavia one for their wedding march.
I don't think I did that. I think that was someone else. I think that was Will who must have done that. Because I don't think it was like a song per se, right?
It was mostly just kind of like music. There was no singing. So.
Yeah. Then if it was like that, then that's not me. Yeah. Thank you, though.
All right, thanks, Ben.
I'll pass it.
What's your name? All right, Kelly, ask away.
I have
Kelly.
2 questions. One, is it true that you're a fan of the great Stephen Sondheim?
Oh, yeah, big fan for sure.
Then 2, if you're running out of Stephen Sondheim style songs ideas, I have 2 suggestions.
Okay, let's hear 'em.
Like maybe Kate and Shining Armor deserve to have a duet, and I think either Discord or King's Armor should have a song in the style of Sweeney Todd.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
Oh!
There you go. About that.
Give Summer a song. I know you want it.
Sweeney Todd style Discord song. I'll throw that out to them and see what they say. Thank you. Do you have a favorite Sondheim musical you saw?
Well, I have to say that my first favorite was West Side Story.
Oh, yeah. For sure. Classic.
All right, thank you. All right, what's your name?
Name is Trenton.
All right, Trenton.
Hey, Trenton.
Ask away.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
That's not the question, but how you doing?
You had a question.
My question for you specifically is for music. Like, I want to know kind of your backstory. Like, were you just in the studio and you were doing a whole bunch of other stuff? Like, what were you doing musically before you got involved with My Little Pony? How did that come about?
Well, yeah, it's a good question. It's a potentially really long question. I mean, like right before My Little Pony, I was already writing on cartoons. I was doing Martha Speaks, and so the producer of Martha Speaks is Sarah Wall. She also is a producer on My Little Pony, so that's that connection there. And she had said, "Hey, we're looking for a songwriter for this series. Do you want to submit a song, whatever?" So that's how I happened to just know. I'd already been working with DHX for about 5 years at that point, but getting into music that started when I was, a kid, and playing Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix in high school bands and stuff. And then I went, and then going to university, and then I used to write mostly for like live shows, like theater shows and stuff like that, and actually ballet and dance and that kind of interdisciplinary stuff. And then that was kind of, it doesn't really pay much. It's hard to make a living doing that. And I was almost like, well, maybe I should give up and do something else. And at that point, I got lucky and met a composer who was looking for an assistant, Hal, and he just had his 60th birthday last weekend, actually. And he'd already scored tons of cartoons. He was the main composer at DHX for their early days. It was actually before it was DHX. It was called Studio B. And so I started working for Hal, and I was like, wow, you write music on cartoons? That's the coolest thing. I never even thought of that. And so after 4 or 5 years of working with him, and we started co-writing a couple of shows, that's when I got my chance to do my own show with Martha Speaks, and then that led to Pony, and that's led to a lot of places since.
There you go.
We're thrilled that you didn't quit.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Dan.
All right, what's your name?
Ben?
Ben, ask away.
All right. I am a huge Spike fan, and my proper question is, will Spike get solo? A real solo?
I don't know if I'm allowed to answer that. I'd say definite maybe. Yeah, I've been, I'm really aware of, and Kathy is actually really, Kathy has a real musical background. She used to be a composer herself, Kathy Jimmy.
Yeah, we had her here last
Kathy
year.
Westluck, who plays, of course, Spike. And she was a music supervisor too, and she can sing. Of course, we heard a little bit of Spike singing already, but not like a real solo. But yeah, I'm working on some things for Spike. I can't say much more than that. I got some ideas.
Probably already out there, you don't know.
Yeah, it might be, it might not be.
And just one more. I feel the need to ask, who is best pony?
I change my answer all the time, so I Who is best pony? Right now, best pony for me really comes down to which voice actress is being the nicest to me. I'd say it's got to be Fluttershy these days. Andrea's been so good to work with.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Pinky Dude, you're next. What's your name?
David.
David?
Yeah, that's cool.
Hey, David.
My question to you is, there have been a bunch of fan creations within the fandom. Music-wise, how does it feel to inspire like thousands upon thousands of songs every time you put out one?
That's feels really. I mean, that's totally unique experience for someone in my position, I guess. Like, you know, it's rare to be writing songs on a kids show and have like all of these kind of remixes happen and all of these other fan created songs. I used to, you know, like I remember when Babseed first came out. Back then, I was like, I'm just gonna like YouTube search and just type in Babseed. It's such an unusual title that it was limited to like how many hits. And there was like 1,000, literally was like 1,000 covers and remixes.
There are more now, I can assure you.
Oh yeah, well that was only after a week, and I was like, this is unbelievable. Like, most of the time you would put something out and never really ever hear any feedback. So it's a huge honor to actually not only get that immediate feedback, but tons of fun to see, you know, people doing covers or doing these remixes that in some cases really exceed the quality of the song, like the level of the song itself, and take it to a whole new level. So yeah, I mean, that's one of my favorite things, is being able to put out a song and be able to check out what people can do with it. I mean, I can't listen to a lot of the fan original songs for now because they just don't want any cross influences, but for covers or remixes, yeah, I mean, it's one of my favorite things to check out every week.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, what's your name?
Joey.
Hey, Joey.
How you doing, man? Big fan. Just a question. What inspired you the most as you grew up, besides you being as talented as you are for the music? What really inspired you, and what really like began that spark to get you where you're at now?
That's a good question. Lego? Yeah, I mean, it's weird. When I was a kid, you know, I'm 41 now, and so when I was a kid, things were quite a bit different. Like, I mean, there was a little bit of computers existed, but we didn't have the internet, and so I would spend a lot of time, you know, being creative with other ways. You know, like you spend a lot of time drawing and a lot of time. I'd write music when I was young, just fool around the piano. A lot of time, you know, playing with Lego, actually, for real, legit, and all that stuff. So I kind of was raised in a pretty creative environment, and I think that just got me used to, from a young age, like wanting to make stuff all the time. And then music specifically, that came around a little bit later. Like, oh my God, actually, you know, if I tell you this story, I don't know if this is gonna sound really weird, but I remember one time when I was 12 years old and I was living in New Jersey. I was living in Ocean Grove, New Jersey, this tiny little town. And we were living in this place and we didn't actually have a lot of music in the house at that time. And I was walking down the street and like In Excess's Kick or something came on, like a super old song, like 30-year-old song, came on someone's car, and it was just parked on the side of the road and they were blasting it. And I just stood there and listened to it and was just like, oh my God, like I actually kind of started to fall in love with music at that point. And I was 12 years old and I came home and was like, man, I gotta start playing guitar or something. And then my mom was like, okay, I'll get you a guitar. And then I just started playing guitar after that. You know, and then all my buddies in high school were also all playing guitar. So we would just sit around like in, you know, all lunch hour and after school and in the halls and just like teach each other songs. And so that's how it really got started for me.
And one last one. Who is the most funniest, I guess you could say, funniest person to work with in the group that has
yeah, they're all so crazy. I mean, the thing that all voice actors have in common is like a certain level of insanity. think Sam McNeil might be the most wacky of all of them. Yeah. He only plays, I think, Flim or Flam or whatever on Pony and a couple others. But he's a real veteran voice actor. And, you know, I also, yeah, like, you get in a room and they all just like, they all start feeding off each other. You know, Lee Tokar is also completely insane. Like, I think he probably, like, someone paid a lot of money to take him out of an insane asylum. But yeah, Lee is, they're all an absolute hoot. I mean, it's one of the funnest parts is being able to get in the studio and sometimes on certain, not so much on Pony, but on other shows, I'll leave more room for them to ad-lib a little bit, you know? Like, okay, here's a little section where can you just throw in some dialogue, throw in some stuff, and it's just always the stuff that they just come up with on the fly is better than anything that I can come up with.
Thank you.
Now this guy here, just so you all know, this is his first Brony con ever.
All right.
I've kind of got a
First of many.
question for you.
Okay, ask away.
As far as everything, as far as musical inspiration for me and the show being an inspiration to my music and everything, and older songs, Led Zeppelin and everything. One, is Vinyl Scratch possibly going to get a voice later on in the series?
Yeah, that I have no idea. I really don't know. Yeah, I think probably I would guess no. Like that's
as far
her
as
thing.
second question, are there going to be more celebrity guests such as like Weird Al and stuff? Maybe even Jack Black appearing in an episode.
I would love that. School of Rock is actually like one of my all-time favorite movies. I watched it like 10 times. Yeah, I mean that would be one of my. If they came to me and said, who would you want to work with? Like, definitely Jack Black would be up there. I think, well, this season, you know, they've made an announcement. Lena Hall is a Broadway singer. They're actually releasing a song. If anyone who's following San Diego Comic-Con today, keep an eye on that, because they're going to play a little song. They're releasing a song today, I believe. Yeah, every season, I think their intention is to get somebody in. I don't always know if they're going to be people I get to work with or not. I have no idea and I'm a little bit out of the loop on a lot of those things. The directors definitely know more. But I know for season 6 I haven't worked with anybody yet, so I can say that, but it's possible. And definitely that's something I think that, I mean, working with Weird Al was amazing and cool. Yeah, and the first part of your question, I couldn't answer, that's right. So I can't really answer either part of that question. It's your first con, it's okay.
This con experience is good.
All right, what's your name?
Cassandra.
Cassandra? Go ahead and ask away.
Will the human Flash Sentry ever be getting a song of his own?
Yeah. So that's Vincent Tong, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Vincent's a good buddy of mine. We gotta go rock climbing together, and he's always telling me, like, Daniel, I'm a really good singer. And I keep saying, yeah, I know, man, I'll try. And then I start talking to him about the regular season series. I'm like, yeah, maybe in season 6. And he's like, I'm not really in MLP. So, anyways, I think that would be. Do people like Flash Sentry? I thought he was like one of those much more. Okay.
They either love him or love him.
Yeah, he's kind of like right now. He's just kind of more like a guitarist at this point.
Kiss already.
You know, he's kind of like the cool guitarist, but
maybe Jack Black should sing for him.
Yeah, Vincent would be so upset. He'd be like, "What? After all this time?" Yeah, I mean, I know he can sing, and I've been wanting to write a song for him, but so far, at least in the first 3 movies, no, nothing yet. I'll send his regards, though. I'll tell him that you want to hear him sing a song.
Don't use my name, okay?
Everybody here. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, what's your name?
Eric.
Eric, ask away.
Actually, I have 2 questions, if you don't mind. My first one, one of my favorite songs in Rainbow Rocks is actually, well, 2 of my favorite songs is Tricks Up My Sleeve and what's Awesome As I Wanna Be. And really the main reason why I like those 2 is just how how ridiculously like egotistical like their lyrics are. Especially the lyrics. I don't mean to both, but you're a 6-course meal and you just burnt toast. I was wondering, like, what was it like to write lyrics for such egotistical characters?
Yeah, that's a good question. That particular lyric was Megan McCarthy. And it makes a lot of sense because she is a serious smack talker, let me tell you. Yeah, and then The Awesome Is I Wanna Be was my lyrics, if I remember correctly. And in the extended version of that, I think the second verse was entirely taken out of the movie, but you hear it on the soundtrack, where she's sort of singing like, I remember feeling really proud because I got to squeeze in, I'm 20% cooler. Yeah, those are tons of fun because it's like, you know, you just get to like, you know, channel these really egotistical characters and you know, Kathy did such a good job of that song. Anyways, yeah, those are definitely high on my list for songs to do. Which one of those two do you prefer? Do you have a preference?
I kind of prefer Trixie's.
Trixie's song, yeah. I think Trixie's song is a really unique song for the series.
Yeah, especially off the instrument.
Yeah. And in what happened was, for that song, is in that movie, they said, we need to write a Trixie song, but it's only going to be about 10 seconds in the movie. And I'm like, but we've been waiting for a Trixie song for like 6 years, you know, we gotta make a good song. And they're like, yeah, but we only need it for 10 seconds. And so I wrote a longer song, a really long song actually, and they were like, oh, this is so fun, we'll just use it for the soundtrack. And then in the movie, they ended up managing to just keep squeezing more of it in there as much as they could to get it in there. But you hear the whole thing on the soundtrack, of course.
Okay, what was your second question?
I know this is probably going to be like probably controversial, but what's your least favorite song in MLB?
Oh. Yeah, I got a few. Cutie Mark Crusaders? No, the Cutie Mark Crusaders song is actually a good song. It just was sung badly. I mean, that was intentional. No, it's not even a shot. Like, it was actually, the four actresses came in and they're all really good singers, and we're like, and Jason was there, he's like, no, you gotta sing it worse, it's too good. And so we were taking them and making them sing as bad as possible, and then on top of that, they weren't satisfied. They're like, this isn't bad enough. Daniel, can you do anything? And so I had to put it into like a music tuning software and actually detune it even more. And so yeah, it's definitely not by the fault of the actresses. They can sing their hearts out, but and it's funny, since that song we've kind of changed gears, and now they sing really well all of a sudden. So, no, I actually kind of like that song. 80s retro stuff is tons of fun. The least favorite song I have that I wrote.
Actually, before you answer that,
you gonna guess?
I just want to know, is it what's Art of the Dress? Because I know someone who just, I don't know why, he just hates it for some reason.
Yeah, no, I mean, Art of the Dress is a song that people either, like, a lot of people love that song. Like, I get requests for it all the time. So that wouldn't be on my list. I'm neutral about that song. I think it's fine. I don't like Let the Rainbow Remind You. I think it's kind of a hokey song. And that was like the end of the season and it was sort of a rush. I shouldn't say that. Don't let Hasbro hear that. That was one of my least favorite songs, and I was trying to think if there's any other ones that really were real stinkers. I remember I was really disappointed with, when I wrote the Failure song that Twilight sings in season 3, on piano it was sounding great, but somehow when it was recorded I realized it was just too slow. Like, that song needs to be like 20% faster, and it would be like 50% better. And so I remember being like, that song did not come out the way it should have, just in that sense. But yeah, for the most part, 95% of the songs I'm super happy with, and really happy with the production team and the actors and everything.
Thank you. Though personally, I pretty much like all the songs you've written for the show. I really do like them all.
Oh, excellent. Thanks very much.
All right, sorry to say, but we got time for just one more, but don't worry, Daniel will be back throughout the rest of the weekend.
And I got a couple more Q&As coming up too. I think.
Okay, what's your name? Wolfgang? All right.
Wolfgang.
Ask Daniel.
I like Equestria Girls, but when will the new Equestria Girls come out?
Oh, that's a good question. I think their Friendship Games is the next movie, and that comes out really soon. I think that comes out in September or something. October. Okay. Yeah. And some of the songs you've already heard little snippets of in the recent trailer for that.
Yeah.
And that doesn't totally do it justice because you need to hear those songs in their full context to make sense.
We'll all be looking forward to them.
But yeah, I think it's gonna be a ton of fun. I'm really excited to see what people think.
Daniel, thank you so much for joining us here at the Brony Gala.
Thank you, Justin.
Welcome, sir.